What if Luffy was a Marine? Even though I cannot imagine Luffy being a Marine, fans have been speculating this for quite some time now. Luffy becoming a Marine would literally change everything in One Piece, and we're here to discuss that. Before starting, let's talk a little bit about the original timeline. In the original timeline, Kid Luffy gets inspired by Shanks, and ultimately becomes a pirate, following his footsteps. Now, Luffy's inspiration plays a massive role for his further upbringing. We all know Garp always wanted Luffy to become a Marine, and since the beginning, Garp takes Luffy alongside him to Marine adventures. He had been witnessing Garp's heroics and how Marines save people, but he had not yet decided to become one. His friendship with Shanks and his crew proceeds similarly to the original timeline, and Luffy eventually eats the Gomu Gomu no Mi to gain his abilities. Now, this is where things get interesting. As they're enjoying themselves in the bar, someone enters the bar and reveals that the entire town has been ravaged by pirates, including Luffy's home. Hearing this, Luffy rushes back, only to witness his burned home with multiple dead bodies all around the town. This ignites something inside of him, and at that point, Luffy decides to become a Marine and hunt down these evil pirates. Even though Shanks and his crew take care of them, this event forever haunts Luffy. Keeping this in mind, Shanks won't lose his second arm, and I'm pretty sure he'll be strong AF. Following all this, Luffy proceeds to train himself to achieve his ultimate goal. With his newfound abilities, Luffy is set to become a Marine. On his next visit, Garp offers Luffy to train him, but he refuses, stating that he wants to become one with his own abilities. Years pass by, and just like the original timeline, Luffy still doesn't know how to sail a ship, and he can't even swim, so he ends up in that barrel. But this time around, he comes across a Marine ship, and considers this an opportunity to reach the Marine headquarters and possibly meet Garp. However, much to his surprise, this ship actually sails toward Baratie, where they plan to take down Don Krieg. Now in this timeline, Luffy does not meet Zoro and save him. Keeping this in mind, Zoro might get executed. However, I would like to believe that some other captain eventually hears rumors regarding Morgan and reaches there to investigate. In this chaos, Zoro manages to escape, getting back to Luffy and the Marines. Well, the Marines somewhat underestimate Don Krieg and get absolutely obliterated. But Luffy somehow manages to reach Baratie, where he comes across Sanji. Their bond develops over time as they defeat Don Krieg, and in the end, Luffy manages to convince him to become a Marine alongside him. With this, Luffy and Sanji continue their journey to locate another Marine ship and head toward the Marine headquarters. Without a navigator, they lose their way and end up at Syrup Village, where they meet Usopp and eventually defeat the Kuro pirates. Seeing Luffy's bravery and his will to save people, Usopp decides to join them and become a Marine himself. They also get Going Merry as a gift from Kaya. On this ship, Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp proceed toward the nearest Marine headquarters. On their way, they come across a Marine ship and decide to follow it. Much to their surprise, the ship eventually leads them to Arlong Park, where they come across Nami. Now this is where things get slightly interesting. You guys remember how Zoro loses his way all the time? And this time around, something similar happens and he ends up at Arlong Park, where Arlong pirates capture him. As Luffy and the others decide to help Nami in her village, they come across Zoro as well and save him. With this, they defeat the Arlong pirates, as Luffy convinces Nami to join the Marines that would allow her to fulfill her dream. He also forces Zoro to join him like in the original timeline. The other Marines at Arlong Park also saw Luffy's heroics and how he defeated Arlong. As all of them reach the nearest Marine headquarters, Luffy and the others officially join the Marines' ranks, and considering Luffy's heroics, he gets promoted to captain rank. Now that Luffy is a captain, he can travel all around the globe to capture pirates. Now that he's a Marine, he has to leave behind Going Merry and travel via Marine ship, which can cross the Red Line without climbing the reverse mountain. However, Nami insists that they enter the Grand Line through the Grand Line because she wants to draw the map. Following this, their first stop is Alabasta, because Zoro had heard rumors about some strong pirate there. Upon reaching Alabasta, they come across Crocodile, who's trying to take it over, but Luffy forbids this. However, his Marine crew informs him that Crocodile is actually a warlord and he cannot do anything to him. This confuses Luffy and he has to let it slide. Then they come across Nico Robin and eventually Aokiji, who spares them. Luffy wants Robin to join the Marines since he didn't know she's a wanted criminal, but Robin refuses. We can assume that Robin eventually joins Dragon and becomes a revolutionary. Aokiji, on the other hand, notices Luffy's insane potential and takes him under his wing, and trains him to utilize his abilities to their best potential. Time passes with Luffy and his crew traveling along the globe and taking down pirates. Their ranks have also increased, with Luffy becoming a Commodore. Along his journey, he learns a lot about the Revolutionary Army, his father, and how the system is corrupt. Despite all this, he thought he could change it by becoming a fleet admiral. At this point, Luffy has already awakened his conqueror's haki, and is utilizing his abilities better owing to Aokiji's training. Let's talk about the other Straw Hat members now. Well, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, and Usopp are already with Luffy, so there aren't many characters left. About Chopper, he would have stayed on the island and eventually become a doctor, but with the former king reigning his throne, him and Doctorine would have to live the rest of their lives in hiding. Frankie would eventually get caught by CP9, and Brook would have continued a depressing life drifting on the ocean, until the sun shined or some other random event took place. Getting back to the main topic, on his journey to become a Commodore, Luffy meets a lot of new people and even comes across Garp, who once again offers to train him, but he refuses. At this point, the news spreads that Ace has been caught and is subjected to execution. This news spreads like fire and eventually reaches Luffy as well. Realizing that his brother is in danger, he sails toward Marineford to convince the Marines somehow, but fails. He even mocks Garp for being too weak. Luffy is literally fed up with this injustice, and even being a vice admiral is not enough for him to make any change. On the day of execution, Luffy is also standing and watching the dreadful scenes, as his brother is about to be executed. As the katana is about to slash Ace's neck, Luffy activates his Conqueror Haki and renders the executioners unconscious. He then rushes towards Ace and grabs him. This shocks everyone present there. Seeing this, Sakaguchi orders all the Marines to capture Luffy as well. Despite being his grandfather, Garp can't do anything. The Whitebeard pirates and other allies appear at the spot, and a massive war ensues. Zoro and the others are also with Luffy. Despite being their enemy, Whitebeard covers Luffy and Ace, instructing them to escape, but they get confronted by Sakazuki. In the original storyline, Ace dies by the hand of Sakazuki, but this time around, things are different, since Luffy himself is quite strong, and knows everything about Sakazuki's abilities. Both of them eventually manage to escape alongside Zoro and the others, with the war continuing. Whitebeard loses his life against Fleet Admiral Sakazuki, and like the original storyline, Shanks is the one who stops this war. Keeping in mind that Shanks has both of his arms in this timeline, he's arguably the strongest character. Now that Luffy has become an enemy of both pirates and the Marines, he doesn't understand what to do. There is utter chaos everywhere, and there is no justice. After some time, his father also hears about this and visits him. He offers Luffy and his crew to join him and help him change the world. Suddenly, Shanks also appears on the spot. He's the only person who knows how important Luffy's existence is, and that he is the only one who can change the world. He reveals everything he knows about the One Piece to Luffy, and even offers to train him, but Luffy refuses. After knowing about the One Piece, Luffy believes that it is the only way to turn around the world. Keeping this in mind, Luffy, Ace, and his crew set sail to capture the One Piece. That's it, folks. I know you have a lot of questions, like what if Luffy didn't eat the devil fruit? Would he still pursue becoming a Marine and become this strong? Well, we can talk about this in another video. In the meantime, you can check out this other cool anime video. Click on it to see. Go ahead, click it.